Hello guys, I've got a 2400 battle report between the High Elves and the still relatively new Dwarves. So this will be my third battle report playing against them, second recorded. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the armies and then get straight into it. So for the High Elves, I've got a slightly different list from last time. I've got a level 4 on Heavens with the Noble BSB, who doesn't have a 1-up rerollable this time, but he's got a similar offensive capability with slightly different defensive capability. Then I also have a Mage level 1 on Beasts with Ring of Fury, and then some core filled out with Archers and Cav. My special this time is the White Lions and the Phoenix Guard. The White Lions are slightly smaller, and the Phoenix Guard have the Razor Standard. And then in rare, I ended up taking the Frostheart Phoenix instead of the Dragon Princess this time. So still playing non-optimized lists while we get a feel for what the dwarves are capable of and where they sort of rank in comparison to the elves. So my opponent is taking 2 runesmiths this time, and there's one that has 2 runes of spell working, so that's the Spell Eater rune from last edition. And his general still has the single spell breaking rune, so it's 2 dispel scrolls and 1 will destroy a spell on a 4-up. Everything else is as you can see, but fairly similar to last report. The Iron Drakes are 24 this time, so slightly larger, and they also have the Rune of Slowness, so we were interested to see how that would work out. So onto deployment. This is my left flank. I've got my Frostheart Phoenix, and you can see my first unit of Reavers. Then I've got my second unit of Reavers next to them. In towards my center, I've got a unit of 24 archers. Behind them is the bolt thrower, and to the right of the archers are the Phoenix Guard with the level 1 mage in there. To their right are the White Lions with my Archmage, and then to the right of them are the Silver Helms with the BSB. And then all the way on the right, there's another bolt thrower and the Sisters. And the bolt thrower you can see is inside the wood. This wood is actually the stupidity forest, so I had to take checks all game, which wasn't exactly fun, but I don't think it had much effect overall, so if I forget about it, it's not too big of a deal. And then on my opponent's side, this is his left, my right, so he's got a dwarf cannon on the right hand side of the river. Then that big unit of gunners is proxying the Iron Drakes. Behind them you have a gyrocopter, which is being proxied by the Warhawk. To the left you have the Slayers with the champion in front, the Flame Cannon with no rune this time, so my White Lions would not get any save against it. And the Hammers are next to them with both his General and his BSB in there. And behind them is the second gyrocopter. At the back of the board there's the second cannon, and then to the left, I think I have a better picture here. Yep, there it is. The other unit of warriors, so the standard warriors with great weapons. And then to the far left is a unit of correlers with great weapons and crossbows. So we would see how they would do this game. Slightly bigger unit than last time. So my opponent finished deploying first, but even with the +1 I was able to go first, which was really nice for me. So I move everything up as you can see. The Sisters come up to the edge of the river, Silver Helms go forward to defend the obstacle, the White Lions move forward, along with the rest of my lines. As you can see here, the Phoenix Guard are set up to engage the Hammers this game. So I knew that from previous editions that this was a very good matchup for me, so I had a feeling that it would still be a good matchup for me last game, so I didn't bother trying it, but this game I was going to try and confirm that and see whether or not the Phoenix Guard versus Hammers was indeed a good matchup. It would be slightly scarier for me because now there's 2 characters in there, but I figured they weren't too offensively capable, so hopefully it wouldn't be too much of an issue. The archers, as you can see, also move up a little bit to be in front of the swamp, and this swamp was the Earthblood Mirror, I think, so it gave them a 6-up regen if they walked into it, which they will do later on in the game. And on the far left between vanguards and moves, I'm like that, so you can see the Frosty flew behind the wall to hopefully get a protection from one of the cannonballs. The Reavers moved up behind the forest to protect themselves from the Correlers, and the other unit moved all the way over to the side to maybe get a flank charge rather, or come around in later turns to threaten War Machine. So that's the plan over there. And we go to Magic, and I get a really low phase. I think I roll a 4, and my opponent channels. but even with it, he flubs his Dispel roll against Ice Shard Blizzard on his Flame Cannon. So I think he rolls 6 or something with 3 dice against my like 10. So I end up getting it off, which was nice for me. I tried to cast a Comet, but it doesn't go off. I think I think his Comet is ended up getting scrolled with the non-spell eater, just the normal scroll. So that was somewhat nice there. Got one of those out of the way early. And we go to shooting, absolutely nothing happened. The archers moved, I think I shot into the hammerers, I did a wound, he saved it. And so then we went to dwarf turn 1. He reformed the Quarrelers because he was hoping to get the first turn and take advantage of extra shots, but since I got the first turn and the Frosty was already bearing down on him, threatening this side, he decided to go for more ranks to hopefully last longer, because he didn't see a way of getting out of the range of the Frosty's charge. So that's what's happening there. In towards the center, the other unit of warriors moves up a bit, and he flies both gyrocopters out from behind his units, getting ready to drop the flame templates on them. And the slayers come up a little bit, getting ready to misdirect later in the game. Now, I should mention here, we found out later that you can't march and shoot with the gyrocopters. They can't use their flame templates on a turn that they march and shoot. But we both thought that at the time that they could, so it has since been corrected, but yeah, so we were both playing it like they could march and shoot, and it wasn't too big of a deal in the end. So that's what you're seeing going on here. And we go to shooting. So first his cannon tries to shoot, and it misfires. So that was unfortunate for him. I think he was shooting my bolt thrower down in the forest. And then his other cannon takes aim at my other bolt thrower and takes it out. He was debating whether or not to shoot the Frostheart Phoenix or this bolt thrower at the back of my board, but he ended up shooting the bolt thrower because the Phoenix, while it was defending the obstacle, he could have hit the tail edge of it with a cannonball aiming for the edge, but he figured that with bounces and stuff he wasn't very comfortable with it, so he went for the bolt thrower and got the easy points there instead. And then we go to the shooting with the war machines and the gyrocopters, and the flame cannon does not roll the 4-up it needs to be able to fire, which was nice. So this is just the gyrocopters damage you see there. He ends up killing 2 Phoenix Guard and looks like 6 White Lions. So a little bit of damage there. The White Lions are okay for the moment, but if they start taking any more damage there, they're not going to be able to do much. Oh, and you can see there the 6 behind the Phoenix Guard, my level 1 mage, she did manage to cast Ring of Fury at the Slayers. It only did a wound, so it killed one of the regular Slayers, but it did give them the 3-up ward for the whole unit, which kind of helped here with the flame templates being dropped on them. So that's partially why I didn't lose too many models here. So, and we go to High Elf turn 2. So my Frosty declares a charge on the Quarrelers on the left-hand side, and I think I needed a 6 or 7. It wasn't too bad, so made that without too much trouble. The Weavers come around, both trying to threaten the same cannon. You notice from last battle report, I've since corrected my mistake. I put both the Weavers on the same side rather, and they both tried to engage at the same turn. So this turn he would be able to shoot one, maybe with a grave shot, maybe with a cannonball, whatever he decided. But then the other unit should be able to get in. So that was the plan here. In towards the center, yeah, I charged both gyrocopters, which is expected. And you can see here, I tried to charge against the Iron Drakes across the hill, but they fail across the wall rather. But they fail their charge thanks to the rune of slowness. So they didn't roll particularly well, but I think between that and the rune, there was no way of me getting in. So they are, as you can see, which is not particularly good because I'm no longer defending that wall, which means next turn they're going to be in a bit of trouble. So there's that. We go to shooting, and yeah, I think this is shooting. I think magic is again a flub. I roll like a 3 or a 4. I think this entire game magic's been just absolutely abysmal, but we go to shooting, and I think I shoot off 1 of the hammers, and that was that. In combat I kill off the gyros. I'll go back to that, sorry. In combat I kill off the gyros real quick, and I reform to face like that. And on the left-hand side, I kill 6 of the Quarrelers, but he manages to do a wound back against me. So with the Dwarves only being Strength 5 and then the Frostheart's aura coming into effect, they got down to Strength 4, which meant they need 6s to wound, and I just couldn't make my save. So I think he did 2 wounds to me, and I saved 1, something like that. So took a wound, took out some dwarves in the process, but they stuck around, so that's to be expected. And we go to Dwarves turn 2. So he moves up a little bit. He figured he could move back, but then I could get a charge into either the side of the Slayers and potentially overrun and clip the Iron Drakes, or I could try and charge the Flame Cannon, in which case I would avoid both combat units entirely. So he figured he would move on up and try and get into combat where he could flank me in the following turn. And on the other side, the right-hand side, the Iron Drakes move up. They do a reform, and they move up slightly to get in close range of the Silver Helm. So that's what's happening there. And we go to shooting. Yeah, so this time the Flame Cannon opens up, and no magic on it, so it opens up and it kills 5 right off the bat. And I think he rolled a little bit poor. I think he wounded 8 or 9 times, something like that, or hit 8 or 9 times, and then rolled a couple ones. So I ended up getting a little lucky there. I think I should have lost about 3 more guys, but because he got a direct hit this time. So ended up losing 5, and then the Iron Drakes, yeah, they opened up into the Silver Helms and they killed 6. So where I was hoping to get into combat last turn and hopefully tie up the Iron Drake unit, even if I didn't kill it, looks like that was not going to be possible with only 2 Helms and a BSB left. So not looking good on the side, starting to take a real toll, all the Dwarvish shooting. We go into combat with the Frost Heart, and again I kill 5 Dwarves. He puts another wound on me, even again still needing 6s to wound, and with my armor and my ward not getting anything, so he got a wound through, but I'll take it. I'll take that trade any day. And we go to High Elves turn 3. So I start off with declaring charges, and the Reavers try and charge the cannon, and they fail. They only needed like a 5, and I think I rolled a 2, and a 1, something like that, something ridiculous. So yeah, he wasn't. I wasn't particularly thrilled about that. You can also see one of their numbers missing. He fired the cannon at them last time. It hit right in front because they were in 3 ranks, so he was going to try and kill 3 that way. Hit right in front, but it didn't bounce, or it hit the first guy but did not bounce, so he killed 1, and that was it. So a little unfortunate for him, but yeah. So I declared a charge and it failed there, so that's what you're seeing there. In the center, the Phoenix Guard decided to charge into the Hammerers. I figured that I looked at it, we both looked at it, and the Reavers could make it to get in front of the Dwarf Warriors to redirect, and I had the option of either doing that or my other option was trying to wind blast them out of the way. So I decided to misdirect them instead. So the Phoenix Guard went into the Hammers. You can just see on the edge the BSB and the Silver Helms, they went into the Flame Cannon, and their plan is over there to overrun into the Hammers and get them to attack there as well to hopefully lend a hand. The Reavers on this side, they failed their march check actually, but they were still just within range to get in and misdirect. So you can see it looks really close. They're both within exactly at an inch there. But if my opponent hits the Phoenix Guard, he can't close the door because it'll touch the Reavers, and he can hit the Reavers, and then I will close the door to him after he completes his move. So the right-hand corner of the Dwarves can get right by the edge of the Phoenix Guard, but the left-hand corner of the Dwarves can't get by the Reavers. So that's how it worked out there. So it meant that he was going to have to charge the Reavers before he wanted to help out with the Phoenix Guard, which was the whole point. So happy that it worked out, even without being able to march, just being able to get there. So. And then we go on the right hand side there, you can see the Silver Helms charging. They wheeled once and got into the Flame Cannon, so that was good there. And then over here, I think I made a bit of a mistake. I was thinking that the Slayers would help protect me from the Iron Drakes because I could keep them within hard cover of without him being able to see 50% of the unit, so I'd get a cover save at least there. And and he would get a negative modifier rather, but I think the better move would have been to charge them because he has this champion at the front, so I could only kill the champion this turn. In his turn, I might have been able to kill the rest of the dwarves, hopefully, and then I could have charged and moved out of the way. So a slight mistake there. I think I should have just charged there, overthinking it a bit. Yeah, so the archers on my backfield, they move up because I figured a little bit late in the game that since everything was getting into combat so fast, their bows aren't going to come into effect. So I was just going to use them as another combat unit, and since I had a few more than last game, I was hopeful that they would be able to do a little bit more. So they marched through the marsh, and they took some dangerous terrain checks and lost 4 of their number for the trouble, but their corner is still just in, so if they do get into combat, they'll end up having a 6-up regen save, so that would be nice there. On the right hand side, the sisters come up. They are basically just going to misdirect the Iron Drakes later in the game. That's really the plan there. So they walk through the river, and it was a raging torrent, so they ended up losing 1 of their number to the dangerous terrain. Okay, and we go to magic, and again, I think I roll a Snake Eyes magic phase this time, so absolutely nothing again, which was really, really bad. So we go straight into combat because shooting's a wash. My 1 unit of archers marched up, and the bolt thrower didn't do anything worth note because it didn't have any good targets. So we go into combat. I overrun from killing the flame cannon with the BSB and his unit, so they're going to fight again. That went really easily. The BSB alone killed them. So we went into combat, and I had to put 6 attacks, or I got to put 6 attacks on his characters. Between getting to and having to. So I put a few on his runesmith, who was his general, and I put a couple on his BSB. And the ones on the BSB did nothing, but the runesmith actually kind of flubbed. He has a 2-up armor save or 1-up armor save, something like that, and he just did not make any saves. He rolled 2 2s or something when he had to take 3 saves, so a little unlucky there. And then between the knights, the BSB, and the rest of the Phoenix Guard, I was able to kill, looks like 8 more hammerers, so that was really good for me. He attacked back. He killed both of the Silver Helms, so got some points there. He put a couple wounds on the BSB, but I saved them thanks to my armor. And the Phoenix Guard, I think he did 8 wounds, and I saved 5. So that was above average there. I'll take that. And so I ended up winning that combat there by a little bit, but he stuck around because he's dwarves and he's stubborn after all. Oh, and you notice there my mage is missing. His BSB killed my mage. I'm just directing attacks at him. So should have moved him out, but since we got into combat so quickly, I'm okay with it, sacrificing the mage to reduce the shooting of the dwarves. So that's what's happening there. On the left flank, yeah, so this turn, he got below steadfast. I won by 4 or 5. He needed a 4 or 5 to stay, and he couldn't get it, so I overran there. You can see I also took another wound, so I'm down to a couple wounds left. But overall, I think I'm okay. May not be able to help out with the hammer combat, but hopefully with some regular dwarves or cleaning up extra war machines or something. Yeah, the frost art shouldn't be out of the game just yet, but I've got to be careful with them from here on out. Okay, so we go to dwarves turn 3, and the warriors, they charge the reavers who are misdirecting them. The Iron Drakes, they go ahead and move up a little bit so that they can see the White Lions, and the Slayers also moved sideways out of the way, which I should have obviously seen coming, and is another point of mistake for me as to why I should have charged them in the first place. So he's going to be able to shoot into them if he wants, and he's going to be able to charge either my BSB or the Phoenix Guard in his next turn. So that's not looking too good. Yeah, everything else is already in combat, so that's all the movement on this side. So everything's in combat or has blown itself up for shooting. So we go into combat. I think the Iron Drakes do shoot. They shoot the White Lions, but I think he flubs. I think he does 2 wounds, and I saved them both, so no wounds caused over there, if I remember correctly. And he kills the Reavers on the left-hand side in combat and overruns into the Archers, which is expected. Now, I was a little worried here because obviously not going to be steadfast, but I figured that if the Archers just completely died and he was in my backfield, I didn't have a problem with it so long as it happened on his turn and didn't happen on my turn, so that he would be able to charge on his turn. So I felt fairly comfortable with that, but I knew the Archers weren't long for this world, so. Yeah, here's the shooting phase. Sorry, this is a little bit out of turn, but in the shooting phase, he tries to shoot the Frostheart Phoenix, and he rolls a 10, which is the only thing he needed to not get in order to go over the Phoenix. So I think he was 7 back. He guessed 7 back, and he got a 10, so he was just over the base. Didn't get anything there. That was really unfortunate. And we go to combat in the center with the Phoenix Guard. Yeah, he does another 5, 6, 7 wounds, something like that. But again, making my 4 board saves. And this turn, since I'm not attacking anything into the characters except for the 2 on the far right, everything, and the BSB obviously, everything's going into the hammers, and I end up doing another 8 or 9 wounds. Looks like 9 wounds. So really starting to whittle them down. Like I thought, this is a really good matchup for me and not something I'm particularly worried about. So looking good in the center there. And then we go to tile turn 4. So this is really quick. The game's wrapping up at this point. And we went through magic. I got, again, a 4 for magic, but I'm able to get -1 hit Ice Shard Blizzard off on the warriors, just out of shot here in combat with the archers. And then we go to combat here, and the Phoenix Guard wipe off the rest of the hammers, and the BSB breaks and auto dies because he broke, and my opponent calls the game here. So it looked like it was a pretty clear victory for the High Elves. He had only gotten points for the mage and the 1 unit of Silver Helms, and I had already cleaned off his general, his BSB, and his main combat block. And my Phoenix, who you can see, he cannot see, he's just out of shot here. He's ready to recharge the warriors who are in combat with the archers. So it looks like it was fairly going my way. Also on the far right hand side, you can see the White Lions base, just barely. It's the bottom of the 2 bases. They had moved up to misdirect the Iron Drake. So my opponent looked at the situation and said, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to clean up any more points besides maybe the White Lions. But even then, it would be a stretch because they're in a nice line there, and he wouldn't be able to get many models into him. So we went ahead and called the game, and it was a High Elf victory. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the lists once more. And yeah, so a couple thoughts we had about the battle as a whole. We felt High Elves against Dwarves after playing now 3 games against them was fairly even, if slightly in the favor of the High Elves, just because Band of the World Dragon helps them a lot against magical war machines, and also the Phoenix Guard with the ward save is a really hard unit for Dwarves to crack. Now that being said, we also were playing sort of our versions of ETC, sort of a gentleman's ETC comp, where we agree not to take very difficult or very overpowered units or setups that are generally banned in tournament scenes around here. So we were playing that with that in mind for the dwarves as well, sort of keeping them to a low number of war machines, or not letting them take 6 gyrocopters, which we feel would be a little bit excessive. So we talked a little bit about it and felt that the strengths and weaknesses overall of the dwarves have been distorted a little bit, and the dwarves are really good on war machines now, but their regular shooting is not that great besides the iron drakes. And because their magic defense is so low, the gyrocopters make up for this, but only if you take more than 2 or 3. So in the future, my opponent's gonna play with a few more gyrocopters, and I'll probably do a battle report of that as well. And that's why you can see the 5 slayers in the list. That's just sort of a Congo line tactic, which will give them another tool to play around with without taking the other gyrocopters. So in the future, you'll probably see more gyrocopters, less of the little toys and gimmicky things. So but yeah, it was an overall victory for the High Elves, and gave us a good feel for, between these last few games, gave us a good feel for what the matchup was like and what the book could do. And hope you guys enjoyed.